Hello there. Hello, everyone. Hello from Sugar and Spice. We are doing this story for My Katha, Healing Stories. Thank you, Meera, for this opportunity. Shrija and I, we call ourselves Sugar and Spice. We are a storytelling duo. And we say stories to entertain. And this time, we hope our story brings some motivation, gives you all some motivation and something to think about. Right, Shrija?
Yes, hello from me as well. So we are back with Sugar and Spice, Deepthi and I, with this beautiful story, which we hope is motivating. Because yes, it was meant as a motivational story. It's a classic one, right, Deepthi? A
Yes.
very well-known one. Yeah. So we hope to narrate and hope you enjoy it as
Yes.
much as we do
Author is
narrating
none
it to
other
you.
than the famous Leo Tolstoy, and the story's name is The Three Questions. So, shall I start the story, Shrija?
Yes, we'll start with you, and I'll continue once. Okay, go on.
So, the story begins where once upon a time there was this king who suddenly it occurred to him that he could be a very, very successful person or a king, and he could, be the best ruler if he knew the answers to these three questions, three very important questions. The first one being, what is the right time to do anything? What is the ideal time? The second question was, who are the most important people, or who are those people whom you must listen to, and who are those whom you must avoid? And the third question was, what was the most important thing to do? What is the most important affair? What is that you should do? So these three questions occurred to him, and from that day he started looking for answers to these questions. So he tried every way that he could. He called all the learned men into the court, and he even declared a reward for the person who gave him a satisfying answer to these questions. So the answers which the different, the all the scholars that he put the question forward to, they gave him different kinds of answers. As to the first question, some of them said that the right time, if you want to know the right time to do things, you must prepare a table of a sort and follow that, by the book. And some of them said, no, that's not possible. You cannot always, decide the, uh, the things to do in that form. In life, it doesn't happen that way. You have to sometimes take decisions on impulse. You have to, decide at the moment. You cannot wait till it is the right time. So it is not possible to have a table of sorts. At the same time, some of them said you should not while away time. You should not waste time. You should always use time productively. But these answers were very vague, and this was not the answer that he wanted. To the second question, some of them said the most important people were, scientists or priests. Some said doctors. So they, different people again had different opinions. And again, none of them appealed to the king. As to the most important thing that had to be done, some said religious ceremonies, some said warfare, and everyone had a different opinion about what the most important thing to do was. So the king was totally confused and upset at, they were all such scholars, but they couldn't find answers to such a simple question. But finally, he decided on something. He had heard about this very, very wise hermit in his kingdom, and the king was almost sure, he was sure that the hermit would know the answers to these questions. But there was one problem. The hermit never moved out of his humble home in a forest, and he would not meet anybody but common men. answers to these questions were very important to the king. So he decided that no matter what, he is going to go visit the hermit and look for the answers. And he did reach there, but a little bit of distance away from the hermitage, he left his horse there. He dismounted the horse, and even his bodyguard, he told him to stay back. And alone, he went to the hermit's hut, and he saw him. When he reached there, the hermit was sitting in the ground on the floor, and he was digging. He was using a spade and digging the ground. He was very, very tired. He was a weak man, and he looked very tired, and he was breathing heavily as he was digging the ground. The king came to him and said, "O wise man, I have come to you in search of the answer to these three very, very important questions. I need to know the answer, and I hope that you will be able to provide me the answers to these questions. The questions are: what is the right time to do anything? Who are those people whom I should listen to and whom I should avoid? And the most important was, what is the most important thing to do in life?" The hermit looked at him and he did not answer. He waited for a while. He saw the old man was really tired and he was very weak out of the work that he was doing. So he said, "Let me help you. Give me the spade." So he said, "Thank you," and he handed over the spade to the king and he started digging. After some time, he repeated the question, but the hermit was still silent. The whole day went by, and the king, as he had never done before, digged the whole land for the hermit. And by the end of it, he was so tired that he put the spade down and he said, "Oh, wise man, I came to you hoping that I would find an answer to these questions. If you can't, please tell me so and I will leave." The hermit immediately looked up. "There's someone. Can you hear that?" And when they looked, there was this bearded man who had come running into the hermitage, and he was bleeding. He was holding his stomach with his hands, and there was blood everywhere. The king rushed to him and he took out whatever cloth he had from the hermit also provided him some old cloth, and using all that, he bandaged the wound. The blood wouldn't stop, so every time he would remove the bandage, wash the cloth, and rebandage it. He took good care, and after a while, the bleeding stopped, and the man opened his eyes and he said, "Can I have some water?" He brought fresh water and gave it to the man, and he drank it. And as soon as they took him inside the hermitage and laid him down on the bed, he immediately went off to sleep. The king was also very tired, and for all, he had been working the whole day. So, and out of all these developments that had happened, he was completely exhausted. And then he went off to bed in the next, on the floor nearby, and he slept the whole summer night as peacefully as he had never done before. Now, the author leaves us here at a juncture where we wonder, how would this have to do with the answers that he was looking for? So, here the story reaches a juncture, and I think Shrija is ready to take on from there. Yes, Shrija?
Yes, this is where I come in with the rest of the story. So Deepthi left us at the point where the king had fallen asleep. He was in deep slumber. He woke up in the morning feeling quite refreshed because he had slept well. He woke up to find the bearded stranger who he had dressed the night before. He was lying on his bed, looking at him, staring at him. The minute the king opened his eyes, he looked at him and said, "Please forgive me." The king was surprised, and he told him that as well. He said, "I don't know you, and I have no idea what I am supposed to give forgiveness for, so it doesn't really matter." That's when the stranger tells him softly, because he was still exhausted, he was tired with all the blood that he had lost, and he tells him, "No, Your Majesty, you don't know who I am. I am that enemy who had sworn to kill you." The king was shocked. He kept listening. The man continued, "You had executed my brother and had confiscated all his property, and I, as his brother, had promised revenge. I wanted to avenge his death, and I decided that the only way to do it would be to kill you. So I had planned, and I waited. When I got to know that you were going to meet this hermit by yourself, I lay in hiding, waiting for you because I knew you had gone in alone. But when I waited, you never came out. And when it started getting really late, I risked coming out. I had thought I'll get you in ambush, but it didn't work. So when I stepped out, your bodyguard spotted me. And he, as well as all your other guards, they chased me, they wounded me. They would have killed me if I hadn't got lucky and escaped. I ran towards the hermitage, and that's where you found me. You and the hermit. You dressed my wounds, you helped me. Your Majesty, you saved my life, and now I'm indebted to you for life. If you will have me, I shall be your slave, your servant, your friend for life." The king was extremely happy when he heard this, because without his knowledge, he had actually destroyed an enemy and made a wonderful friend in his place. So he smiled and told the man, "Yes, of course, I forgive you, and you're my friend now. I shall send my own personal physician and my servants to look after you. And don't worry, your property shall be restored to you." So, that having been done, the king was still not complete in his mind, because he hadn't received the answers to the three questions that he had asked the hermit the day before. So he went in search of the wise man and found him sitting on the ground that they had dug up the previous day, and he was sowing seeds. Sitting on his stick like legs, he was a very thin, scrawny, weak man. He looked up at the king when the king approached, and the king told him, "O wise man, please tell me if you have no answers to my questions, the ones that I asked you yesterday, I'd like to go back." The hermit looked at him and told him very seriously and very matter of factly, "But you have the answers already. Your questions have been answered." The king is surprised. "How? How did you answer my questions? I don't have the answers." So the hermit said, "If yesterday you hadn't pitied my weakness and you hadn't helped dig up the ground, if you hadn't stayed here the whole time and helped me with my work, you would have gone back on your way. The stranger would have tried to kill you, and everything would be lost. The kingdom would have lost a king. But instead, you chose to stay, you helped me with my work. So at that point of time, Your Majesty, I was the most important person. And the work that you were doing, that is digging up the ground for me, was your important work. At that moment, that was your important business, right? And the time that you were doing that with me was your most important time. When the man came in wounded, when the wounded stranger came in, you attended to him. At that point of time, he was the most important man in your life. What you did for him, you saved his life. That was your most important job. And the time was then, the time that you spent with him. So, Your Majesty, the wise hermit said, looking up at him, the most important time in any man's life is now, right now, because we have no idea what the next few seconds are going to bring to us. We have to live our present. The most important person is the person you are with now, because you have no idea who you may be dealing with, this if you will be dealing with anybody after this person. You don't know your future. You don't know the next few seconds, what the next few seconds are going to bring you. And your most important job, as is of every human being who comes onto this earth, is to do as much good as you can for the person who is with you. So you see, Your Majesty, You answered your questions yourself. The king smiles, feeling complete in his mind. He had received the right answers from a very wise man, and we presume he went away happy and finished his job, you could say, or maybe his duty as a good king, lived a life as a good king. And that's where Leo Tolstoy leaves us at that particular point. Yes, Deepti. So this
Yes,
this is one
makes so much
story which
sense.
has
Yeah, makes so
so
much
much
sense,
sense. Yes. Yeah, and
especially now
I
when,
think this applies to. Go on.
yeah, especially now when, I think every second person says this sentence that, you take a day at a time. That is the situation now we are in. So when I came to read this story, I was like, it really makes sense in this, especially in this times. Everybody is facing a very,
Yes.
very difficult patch.
When you look at these stories, all these classic stories, they apply to any time,
Correct.
any point of time in life. And this is so applicable to us right now because all of us are doing just this, trying to live the now because we are not, maybe it could be a morbid way of looking at it. You're not thinking of the future. But the present is so important. There's no future without the present, and we can't live in our past, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's what the hermit was
You
trying to
live
tell
the
us.
present every moment, then I think future is automatically taken care of, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and we
So
are not
tomorrow
really in
becomes
control
today,
of
the moment
anything.
you're in it. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are not in control of anything. We are not God. So live your life as it comes, is what the story tries to tell us. And that's where we leave you.
Yes. I hope all the listeners
Yes.
also enjoyed the story. Thank you so much again, Meera, for the opportunity. And we hope
Yes. Thank you,
a
Priya.
lot more of stories from my story dance. Thank you all.
Yes.
Bye. Bye from Sugar and Spice.
Bye from Sugar and Spice.